Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today's session. I'm Sabine Nair, a product lead on the Agent 365 team here at Microsoft.
And I'm Prithvi Khosla, a product manager on the A365 team as well.
Agent 365 serves as the unified control plane for AI agents, providing IT teams with robust, enterprise-grade tools for observability, access control, data security, and proactive threat protection. In this session, we'll explore how Agent 365 empowers builders to extend agents into productivity and business operations systems using a rich set of agentic tools. Our focus is on how you can discover, onboard, and manage these tools to drive real business outcomes, all while maintaining enterprise-grade governance and security. Now, when it comes to tooling, Agent 365 offers a secure gateway for centralized access to a curated collection of enterprise-ready tools for AI agents. Developers can easily discover and integrate Microsoft agentic tools, including Model Context Protocol MCP productivity servers for Outlook, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, and Word. Business operations servers like Database, platform tools such as Windows and Windows 365 MCP servers, as well as standalone agents and tools from independent software vendors, including third-party and custom MCPs. Third-party agents such as Manus, Anthropic, and Glean can also leverage these MCP servers. This means that beyond Microsoft's own agentic tools, organizations can empower a wide range of external or independent agents to securely access, interact with, and orchestrate business processes using the same curated enterprise-grade MCP infrastructure. This approach ensures consistency, governance, and extensibility across both Microsoft and third-party agent ecosystems. Now, let's take a quick look at the MCP server inventory that we have. Here's an overview of our current MCP server inventory. This list includes servers scheduled to ship at Ignite, as well as others that are actively in development and will be released in future waves. We are committed to expanding this catalog so you can expect regular additions and new capabilities rolling out over the next few months. Now, let's see some of this in action. Let's start with out-of-the-box MCP servers. I'll show this from our management MCP server in VS Code, where agents can leverage Mail MCP and Dataverse MCP, each providing secure, standardized access to business-critical systems. You'll see how these MCPs wrap familiar Microsoft Graph APIs so agents can read emails or update records, all governed centrally in Agent 365. Just a note that Windows MCP servers are coming soon and aren't in this list yet. Now, what makes these MCP servers powerful is that they wrap familiar Microsoft Graph APIs so agents can perform complex actions with simple, consistent calls. Now, here's a list of Graph APIs that we are using, and because everything is managed centrally in Agent 365, IT can enforce policies, monitor usage, and ensure compliance across all agent activities. Now, let's look at the same MCP servers in Azure AI Foundry. This is where pro-code developers build agents and wire in our tooling servers directly from their dev workflow. Next, we'll flip to Copilot Studio, so low-code makers can add these MCP servers to their agents and use the tools to build productivity and business scenarios, all under Agent 365 governance. Now, we talked about governance, so let me take a quick moment to show you how IT admins can govern these MCP servers. To do that, quickly jump into the Microsoft Admin Center. You'll see a new tab under Agent Tools. This is where you'll see the same MCP servers, Mail, Outlook, Database. Depending on your company policies, your IT admin can easily disallow any MCP servers in few steps. Additionally, you can navigate to the Defender portal, and under the Hunting tab in Advanced Hunting, you can execute a query to view the observability data, specifically trace logs of the tools that were requested and executed by the agent. So there you have it. Just a quick view into what this looks like in real world. Now let's get back to building the agent. Okay, let's build this agent. We're planning a marketing campaign for solar panels, and the agent will help us collaborate and execute with the team. Now, to do that, it needs the right tools. I'll start by adding Mail MCP server. and creating the connection. Now, once we have that squared away, I've also added Calendar MCP, Word MCP, SharePoint, OneDrive, and also the User 365 or the Me MCP server from our curated catalog. Now our agent can send emails, set up meetings, generate Word documents, and search SharePoint sites, fetch files from OneDrive, all under Agent 365 governance. Let's give this a run. Now, as part of this campaign, the agent needs to set up a meeting with demo user 77 and her manager. Now, the agent doesn't know who the manager is, so it uses the Me MCP server to look up demo user 77's org info and finds that her manager is demo 01. With that, the agent uses the Calendar MCP server to create an invite for tomorrow, adds demo user 77 and her manager demo 01 as attendees, proposes a 30-minute slot, and includes the meeting objective in the body. Now, let's generate the campaign document. Now, using the Word MCP tools, let's create new file titled Solar Panel Marketing Campaign and seed it with some starter text. Let's say something like, this is a campaign to expand the footprint of solar panels in our Kirkland market. Okay, now that the document is created and saved, here's the link in the agent returns so we can open it and continue editing. Now I'll have the agent add a bit more context, a bit more content, objectives, target segments, and next step tasks. Okay, this looks good. Our campaign doc seems ready now for the team. So now let's wrap the workflow with the follow-ups. Now assume that we've had the meeting, tagged the owners, and captured action items. The agent is tasked with summarizing the discussion and emailing the follow-ups to the attendees. Now, using the SharePoint MCP tools, the agent locates the solar panel marketing campaign document and grabs the link. This is in case, like sometimes you forget where we store the documents. So this is a pretty nifty tool in those scenarios. Now let's go ahead and draft the summary. It composes a concise recap, decisions, owners, due dates, and embeds the action list. Now, with the Mail MCP server, the agent attaches the document link, addresses all meeting participants from Calendar MCP, and sends the message, fully governed by Agent 365 policies. That's it, a quick end-to-end look at how agents stitch together SharePoint, Calendar, Mail, Word to accelerate real productivity scenarios and add measurable value. For this next segment, I'm excited to bring in Prithvi from our team, who will walk us through the Dataverse MCP server and give us a quick demo of how it can be used to power business operations with agents. Over to you, Prithvi.
Thank you, Sabine. Today I'll showcase how you and your agents can handle operational tasks simply by connecting to the out-of-box Dataverse MCP server. This essentially allows you to turn your business data stored in Dataverse into agent-ready intelligence. Let's take a look at how easy this is. It's the onboarding season at Fabricam, and I want to automate this process for the admins using an agent. I'm in Copilot Studio, and I've already set up some basic structures for my agent, including name, description, and some instructions. I've also added the Dataverse MCP server as a tool for this agent. From right here, I'm going to be able to view my data, shape the data we need, and track onboarding requests without leaving my flow. Let's start by taking a look at all the tools that this server offers. You can create and update tables, search data, and create and update records in tables as well. We already track employees, departments, and device details in Dataverse. So let's confirm what is already in the system. I'll simply ask the agent to show me the existing tables for employees, departments, and device tracking. And we can see that the Dataverse MCP server is being called and relevant tools are being invoked to get the right data, such as list tables and describe table. And great, our people, org structure, and devices are already in place. So let's take a little bit of a deeper look into our employees in the IT department. Dataverse MCP allows you to easily query all your data in natural language. We can also try some more complex asks, such as show me all employees in the IT department that were actually hired after November 2020. The right query is automatically computed based on your prompt, and the agent starts to fetch that information. This saves you the time to manually go and find all this information in large business data that most of you, I'm sure, already have. Now let's create a new table for tracking onboarding requests by simply asking the agent. That gives us one place to see and move onboarding forward. The agent figures out the relevant table metadata in columns that would be essential for this table and gives me a comprehensive summary of everything that it created. I also want to go in and track the location of the employee being onboarded, so let's quickly add a column for that by asking our agent. This way, I can work back and forth with my agent to create the schema that it needs. Now let's start tracking some of our new employees that are joining. I've added instructions for my agent to first go and create a new employee record in the employee table, and then create an onboarding request for the employee in the new table that we created. So let's ask my agent to create a new onboarding request for Caleb Miller, who will be joining the HR department today. The agent honors my instructions and first goes and creates a new employee record for Caleb and references that record to create a new record in the onboarding request table using the tools provided by Dataverse MCP. I can also make more updates such that I can ask my agent to update the onboarding request status for Caleb to in progress since his onboarding has already started. The agent updates the record. Let's make sure the request was created. And voila, my agent can easily perform all these actions in just a few minutes. Everything you saw can also run hands-off by letting this agent perform the same steps automatically, so your team handles just the exceptions. Dataverse MCP allows you to bring your tables to life in a very secure manner. All tools honor the permissions you've set for the account. Now I'll hand it back to Sabine to show you more out-of-box MCP servers that the Agent Tooling Gateway provides.
All right, continuing our journey with Microsoft's ready-made tools, let's look at some of the platform tooling available for developers to further extend agents. Now, many of you may have heard of CUA, or Computer Using Agent. Windows Computer Using Agent, or Windows CUA, is a new kind of intelligent agent that can actually use a computer the way a person would by seeing the screen, moving the mouse, clicking the buttons, and typing into applications. Instead of relying solely on APIs or connectors, a CUA understands and interacts with any software interface it can see. Now, when combined with Windows 365 Cloud PC, this means an agent can securely run in a managed Windows environment, open legacy apps, navigate websites, fill in forms, or transfer data between systems, all on its own. It's like giving Copilot or an AI worker its own Windows desktop to get real tasks done end to end. Now, these capabilities are typically defined as computer get. The agent can check out a VM from a pool, gaining access to a managed Windows environment. Computer C, a human can view the VM, enabling human-in-the-loop scenarios for oversight or collaboration. Computer Do, the agent does the work and executes basic computer interactions such as clicking, typing, and navigating applications, just like a real user. This approach unlocks new possibilities for automation and integration, allowing agents to bridge gaps between modern cloud services and traditional desktop applications, making your AI workforce truly versatile and future-ready. With that foundation, let's jump into the demo and bring these tools to life. Now, here's a short demo of an agent we built that can execute real computer actions using in-progress Windows 365 MCP tools and computer using agent preview model. Now, the agent controls the remote Windows VM to complete tasks end-to-end, no specific APIs required. These tools allow the agent to control a remote Windows virtual machine and perform actual computer tasks. I'll start by giving a simple natural language instruction. Let's make a restaurant reservation for a team morale event. Now, what you see on the left of the screen is my natural language interaction to book a table at a restaurant for a team morale event. On the right, you can see the remote VM session where the agent is executing actions via MCP tools. Live Windows VM session where the agent acts, opening apps, navigating pages, clicking buttons, typing, submitting forms. Now, behind the scenes, the model interprets my request, determines the next computer action, and invokes the corresponding MCP tool on the virtual machine. After each step, it captures a screenshot, analyzes the result, and plans the next move. This loop repeats continuously, often several times per second, until the task is complete or the agent needs input. Now, the agent progresses through search, restaurant page, date time selection, party size, contact details. If input is required, example, selecting between two final time slots or confirming the name on the reservation, the agent pauses the loop, asks for the value, then resumes exactly where it left off. Now, once the confirmation screen appears, the agent verifies success, captures the final screenshot, and returns a structured confirmation. This demo highlights the power of Kua, showing how an agent can perform real-world actions on a Windows virtual machine. Again, this is a work in progress. These tools aren't available yet, but once released, developers will be able to use Windows 365 MCP tools as building blocks for their own computer-using agent or Kua solutions. Now, continuing on platform tools, we are also advancing integration with the Windows MCP registry. On every Windows machine, you have a local agent and local MCP servers, but you can also call remote MCP servers, meaning the Windows MCP registry can now include Agent 365 tools and consume remote MCP servers from our tooling gateway for enterprise workflows. This unified registry lets on-device agents get a single comprehensive view of all available tools, whether they are local, remote, or sourced from Agent 365 tooling gateway. For example, think of a scenario when you're like a field service scenario. A technician saves equipment photos locally, and the Windows MCP server uploads them to an ATG-hosted service MCP server to attach to a service ticket. So this way, like a Windows MCP server and a Dynamics service kind of interact with each other. Similarly, meeting notes. A user saves meeting notes locally, and the Windows MCP server sends them to a tooling gateway hosted Teams or Calendar MCP server to share with Teams or attach to the meeting event. It works both ways. Agent 365 tools can also leverage Windows MCP servers, especially for scenarios where local Windows MCP servers emit observability logs. These logs can then be scanned and processed by Sentinel servers in Agent 365, plugging into enterprise observability. Now, Windows MCP registry event logs are made available via the admin center, and Purview can apply sensitivity labels and governs across both Agent 365 and local MCP servers, as well as the resources they access. Bottom line, Windows MCP registry includes Agent 365 tools, giving on-device agents a unified view of all available tools, local and remote, while enabling enterprise-grade governance, observability, and security across the entire ecosystem. Okay, moving on to custom tools or custom MCP servers. As we discussed, we ship a strong set of ready-made tools, but we know one size won't fit every scenario. The good news, Agent 365 also accommodates bespoke tooling. Builders and ISVs can create custom MCP servers wrapping internal APIs, line of business workflows, or third-party services, and onboard them through the same curated gateway, policy enforcement, and certification pipeline we use for first-party tools and certified connectors. And to enable that, we are introducing the MCP Management Server, a fully API-first service, no UI required, that customers can use to build line-of-business tooling servers and that ISVs can use to create curated MCP servers. These custom MCP servers onboard through the same governance, evaluation, and certification pipeline we use for first-party tools, so they show up alongside A365 tools with consistent policies, observability, and security. Now let's go over some of the key capabilities. Build scenario-focused MCP servers programmatically. Now you can compose tailored scenario-specific MCP servers using our 1,500 plus Power Platform connectors, Microsoft Graph APIs, Dataverse custom APIs, and any REST endpoint. Instead of stitching together multiple generic MCP servers, you assemble one focused toolset that does exactly what your scenario needs. Now mix and match sources, actions, and policies. Pull in connector actions, example, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Outlook. Call Graph for M365 data and operation. Exposing Dataverse custom APIs for proprietary business logic. Add direct REST calls for the line of business systems. ISV-ready, curate, publish, certify. ISVs can use the management MCP server to build curated MCP servers and submit them for certification, aligning to the same evaluation, security, and compliance bar we use for first-party tools. Surface everywhere that the builders work. So once published, your custom MCP server appears in both Copilot Studio and Azure AI Foundry, so makers and pro-code developers can discover and add it to agents with a consistent experience. Finally, governance. All custom MCP servers respect DLP and inherit centralized governance in Microsoft 365 Admin Center or Mac, including allow block, group scoping, and per tool controls. So you can ship fast without losing oversight. And all this as an API first, and again, no UI required. Now let's see this in action. Now using the MCP management server, I'll first list the MCP servers we already have, then quickly surface all the available Graph APIs. Okay. Next, I'll create a custom MCP server that exposes a simple send email Graph action. When I list my servers again, you'll see that newly curated server appear, showing how fast it is to build a focused tooling MCP. Now, I'll then build another MCP that incorporates Dataverse custom APIs. I recently added a few management APIs, so I'll list those and add them to an existing expense management MCP server. Now, because this MCP server is also attached to an agent in Copilot Studio, if I flip over to Copilot Studio and do a quick refresh, it shows the same two tools available to the agent. Great. Now we'll test the flow by creating an expense record and verifying it in Dataverse. Okay, looks like that checks out pretty well. Now finally, I'll add a ServiceNow connector action to this custom MCP. Like as I said, you can build a curated box with REST APIs, custom APIs, connector actions. So this is an example of how you would add a connector action. And you can refresh it the same way like we did before. In Copilot Studio, on that agent, you can refresh it to see it's reflected. And then we can also run a quick test to create an incident. Great. So there it checks out. So end-to-end, this demonstrates how easily you can compose a custom MCP server that blends graph actions, Dataverse custom APIs, and connector actions, then surface it consistently across Agent 365, Copilot Studio for Pro-Code Azure AI Foundry under the centralized governance. Now, as I've shared before, our mission is to deliver high-quality tooling boxes, MCP servers, that agents can trust for production workloads. Now, because AI can sometimes behave unpredictably, we run a continuous evaluation, or evals, on every MCP server to guarantee reliability, efficiency, and readiness for enterprise use. This involves testing with real-world prompts and datasets across multiple versions of MCP tools and models. Each response is benchmarked against ground truth, with a large language model acting as an impartial judge. Now, we measure every MCP server tool against key dimensions: accuracy, latency, token efficiency, workflow success, reliability, coverage, and user experience. In practice, that means validating how well tasks are completed, how fast and consistent responses are, how economically tokens are consumed, and whether agents deliver complete, high-quality results across diverse scenarios. All right, and that's just a sample scorecard of that we kind of run every day. Now, finally, recap and closing. In this session, we explored how Agent 365 acts as the unified control plane for AI agents, equipping IT and developers with enterprise-grade tools for observability, access control, data, security, and threat protection. We focus on how Agent 365 empowers builders to extend agents into productivity and business operations systems using a rich set of agentic tools, including out-of-the-box MCP servers for Outlook, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, Word, Dataverse, as well as platform tools like Windows and Windows 365 and custom or third-party MCPs. Now, we walked through real business demos, starting with ready-made out-of-the-box MCP servers and the management MCP server and Visual Studio Code, VS Code, then showing how these same tools are available to both pro-code developers in Azure AI Foundry and low-code makers in Copilot Studio. We built a marketing campaign agent using Mail, Calendar, Word, SharePoint, OneDrive, and a MeMCP server, demonstrating how agents can automate collaboration, meeting scheduling, document creation, and follow-up, all governed centrally in Agent 365. We saw how agents can chain together these tools, looking up org info with MeMCP, scheduling meetings with Calendar MCP, generating campaign docs with Word MCP, and sending recaps and attachments with Mail and SharePoint MCPs. We then shifted to business operations, where Prithvi showcased the Dataverse MCP server, automating onboarding, updating records, and tracking requests, all with natural language prompts and secure permission-aware access. Now, on the platform side, we highlighted the power of Kua, a computer using agents, and Windows 365 MCP tools, enabling agents to perform real desktop actions in a managed VM, bridging modern cloud services and legacy apps. We also discussed the Windows MCP registry, which unifies local and remote tools and enable enterprise-wide governance, observability, and security. Finally, we covered how Agent 365 supports custom tooling. With the MCP management server, both customers and ISVs can build, certify, and govern scenario-focused MCP servers, mixing connectors, graph APIs, Dataverse custom APIs, and REST endpoints. All MCP servers are continuously evaluated for accuracy, latency, efficiency, and user experience, ensuring only high-quality production-ready tools are surfaced to agents. In summary, Agent 365 makes it easy to discover, onboard, and manage the right tools for your agents, whether out of the box, third-party, or custom, so you can confidently scale agent-driven business operations with enterprise-grade governance and security. So, once again, a huge thank you to all of you for tuning into this session.
And as always, keep us grounded with all of your feedback. We really appreciate it. Thank you.